Today, we're going to learn why $142 million were spent on CryptoPunks in the last 7 days. And we think that's a pretty good deal.
We're going to go deep into the world of CryptoPunks, what they are, why they are the OGs, how to buy them, and what to think about the future of CryptoPunks right here on Goats and the Metaverse, the only weekly show that goes deep into the world of collectibles and NFTs. So stay tuned.
But first, let's check in on the Goat Bowl, Yossi.
Well, the Goat Vault is continuing to grow. $3,840 in the vault. Reminder to our subscribers, the only way to claim the vault is to become one of our followers and subscribe on YouTube. Every week, we will be adding NFTs to the vault. And between Stanley and I, we're putting in $10,000 into NFTs that is going to you, our listeners. We've invested about $2,000 so far. It's worth $3,840, and who knows how far it will go.
Yeah, very interesting this week. The Goat Vault went up. None of the NFTs or sports cards that we actually put in the vault went up, but Ethereum went up. So for all our new listeners or viewers who are starting to learn more about the space and invest into NFTs, the interesting part is there's two ways to make money. If Ethereum goes up, so does your monies. I think that's, as you could see right here on the screen, some of the investments we have made have not changed much in the last week, but we're still on the plus side in the dollar column. What else happened this week? This has been a pretty crazy week, and we're already having comments. There's already comments coming in. Logan Paul just bought a World of Woman for 10 Ethereum. Wow. But we're not seeing the comments yet. Let's talk about what happened in this crazy week. I literally, every time we talk, I feel like this is the craziest week in the NFT space.
And then we have the next week.
And then we have the next week. But I think this is the one. I think this one takes the cake.
This could be the one. This has been a crazy week. If we go into the market movers and looked at Crypto Slam 7-day overview, we see some crazy numbers once again. And the biggest one there, which will be no surprise, is Axie Infinity still holding the number one spot with $197 million in sales over the last 7 days across 89,000 buyers, 365,000 transactions. Axie is blowing up and continuing to do so. But even more crazy or more exciting is CryptoPunks, the OG, the one that's been there from the beginning. Number 2 spot, $146 million in volume traded in the past 7 days alone, up 1,000%, 1,067%, 1,067%. I'll say it again. But what's really interesting is 535 buyers. 535 buyers made $146 million in sales. I did some back of the napkin calculations. That's $246,000 per buyer. And each transaction, $137,000. So basically 2 punks per buyer spending $137,000 on these things called CryptoPunks. And we are going to go deep into what those are. Some interesting stuff about the punks. We've now seen them cross that infamous 2,500 unique addresses in a 10,000 collectible sphere. So that's kind of number that says this has now reached mainstream adoption, if you want to call it that. 2,500 active wallets and at a price point of 33 ETH. That's a lot of conviction. Someone's got to have a lot of conviction to spend $70,000 on a punk and say, I'm entering the market now. And that's exactly what they're doing. And we've seen the average price skyrocket. Why? What's been happening?
And the crazy part is when you talk to the influencers and the leaders in the space, everyone's saying that's cheap, right? You look at these crazy numbers and we're saying that's cheap. Got to give props to our man Gary V, who spent $3.7 million on a punk last week to set this hysteria off. Here it is on the screen. CryptoPunk 2140. He spent about $3.7 million. And that just set off a chain of events, which has been absolutely crazy. Few minutes later, somebody else bought a CryptoPunk for $5.4 million. 3 Arrow Capital, which is an investment fund that's deeping dive into crypto and NFTs, bought 88 floor punks to equal $5.5 million. And this is all in the span of 12 hours. To me, the craziest part about what happened, if you look up on the screen, CryptoPunk 6649 was purchased for $1 million.
450 ETH.
Correct. A day later, the same guy flipped it for $1.9 million. So he made approximately $950,000 in one day, which is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. You got to have big cojones to buy. And, whatever ROI we talk about on the show that's absolutely crazy, I think he takes the cake, even though we're going to go a little bit deeper onto another story about a friend of the show who might be challenging that ROI and percentage.
It reminds me, Stanley, of the early days in Bitcoin where, Bitcoin went to $1,000 and we're like, oh my God, Bitcoin's at $1,000. $3,000, oh my God, it's at $3,000. $10,000, oh my God, it's at 10, then 20, then oh my God, it's back to 3, and now sitting at close to $40,000. We're seeing the same thing happening in the punks world, and it's just where does it go from here? How much are people going to spend on buying punks? And we're going to cover that later, what they are, why we think they're on this upward trajectory, and giving our view on what we think is going to happen in the short term, medium term, and long term. Remember, this is not financial advice. You must make your own decisions here. This is for entertainment purposes only. So learn from it and then make your own decisions.
Make your own decisions. And to go off that point, Logan Paul got offered $700,000 for his hoodie punk. And he said, absolutely not. And as he's tweeting out live, telling people he's not selling his CryptoPunk, he's getting live offers of more and more money for his hoodie CryptoPunk. And he's like, I ain't selling. We're not selling.
Which I think he bought in February this year.
But look, and look, we could go back to this point in time and say, wow, what a moron, should have sold, or what a
genius.
What a genius. This thing is worth $7 million. Only time will tell. But to me, it's that cultural phenomenon. Like, I own a few CryptoPunks, and I'm a little jealous of his hoodie punk. I get it. I'm not going to spend $700,000 on it, but I get it, right? Once you get in deeper, you're like, oh man, I wish I knew about this earlier, and I wish I would have spent that, gone in and bought something that's a little bit more cooler. And what we're seeing now, the Twitter avatars, the punks look like the people, right? Or they associate with that punk in some sort of way. So when they're buying a CryptoPunk, they're not going and finding that, the rarest trait, which we'll go into deeper later in the show. They're finding one that they most relate to. And obviously some of them are financially cost a lot of money, like we're seeing with the hoodies. But the hoodies are not the rarest traits. If you look at it, they're just becoming a cultural phenomenon. And the people that see it, or the people that saw it, are making money. Let's go. We have a lot more to talk about. Let's talk about, art blocks continues to be on the rise. Apes. Talk to me about apes, my man. What is happening with our ape friends?
Apes are seeing the same kind of enthusiasm. We saw the floor price shoot up to 14 ETH today. And it's interesting to see that when punks move, apes move. So it's quite logical. People are seeing this big movement in this collectibles arena, 10,000 avatar-based collectibles. The OG is CryptoPunks right now, 34 ETH to be able to acquire one. Well, maybe that's unaffordable for many people. What's the next big project that would be viable? And Apes holds that narrative. Apes holds that space as the other OG product or project that's about to become that type of iconic cultural status. And they've crossed 5,000 active wallets, the first 10,000 collectible project to be able to do that. And they did that in just over 100 days. That is tremendous growth.
That's the point I wanted to make. You could have bought these things for less than an ETH back in May. We're talking about now
3 months.
14 ETH. That is bananas. Wowzers.
It's bananas. Some of it has been because New York Times recently covered NFTs, and on the front page had the Bored Apes. In that article, we're also seeing that the Bored Apes recently as today, announced that they're going to be doing a Christie's sale. So we saw punks being listed at Christie's and selling there, with some record-breaking sales happening there. And now Bored Apes are going into that type of sale as well. So we're seeing everyone buying up the floor price of these apes in anticipation of that auction and what that might do to the pricing.
Yeah. And, maybe now is the time to buy because prices are going to go up. Maybe not financial advice. But also our friends over at Zed Run are continuing to be on the rise. A Z1 horse is selling for about 25 ETH, which is about $65,000. The last drop, which happened a few months ago, they were selling for about $42,000. I also saw, as we were prepping for the show, literally less than an hour ago, they just announced a partnership with NASCAR and are going to release some new skins with NASCAR. And I think that is, we saw Stella Artois, we saw Atari, now we're seeing NASCAR. We're going to see more and more, like Zed Run is really keen on these partnerships, and they're going heavily on them, and they're getting them. And they're just tipping the iceberg, right? The Twitter chat, the Crypto Slam, it's all about, Bored Ape. It's all about CryptoPunks, but nobody's paying attention to Zed Run. What happened?
It seems like some people are paying attention to Zed Run with the ETH price jumping up to 25. So people in the know maybe are giving it the attention it deserves. And if you're listening to Goats and the Metaverse, maybe you should be looking at what's happening in the Zed universe and putting some attention there. We had a great show last week with Drew Austin talking through his strategy of how he thinks about Zed, which horses to buy between a Z1, Z2, Z3, 7, 8, and 9, and 10, and which ones he avoids, and how he thinks about it. So if you're interested, I recommend going back to that show, studying it, and maybe coming and being part of a stable with us.
Yes, sir. And one of the most interesting stories to me this week, a good friend of the show, NFT Goats, did something that, once again, mind blown. He minted a Woman of the World NFT on Wednesday for about $163 with gas prices. By chance, by luck, he chose he got a very rare one. It had a gold earrings and a gold necklace, which meant that he was one of only 20 people to get a 2% royalty of all the secondary market sales over the next 18 months. What does that mean? He flipped this thing for 20 Ethereum, which is approximately $52,000 in less than a week. $163 to $52,000. Yossi, you're the smart one out of the group. What is the ROI on that?
The ROI is a lot. That's all I can say.
Congrats to him.
Well done to NFT Goats. That's what happens when you participate in these drops. Sometimes you get really lucky, and congratulations to him on that sale. We wish him the best of success in his NFT purchase to come, because what we see is when you have that kind of success, well, what do? You go into the next community, the next drops, and you become an avid collector. So always encouraging, great to see. And good luck to the buyer. Maybe we'll be seeing in 3, 4, 5 weeks' time or in a year's time, and we'll be saying that Woman of the World sold for 200 ETH. Right. And NFT Goats will be kicking himself.
Absolutely. And that's, we talk about this on a day in, day out basis. Did you sell too early? Did we buy too early? Did we, you're always, you don't know what the right decision is, and you can't time this market. But to that point, Eric just let us know in the comments. Logan Paul just bought a gold woman, a World of Woman for 10 Ethereum. And that Logan Paul is another guy who moves these markets. And what's going to happen now? That floor price is going to shoot on up. So NFT Code might be kicking himself already because that 2% royalty divided by 20 other owners of a similar NFT, it goes on for 18 months. But we'll maybe we should keep track of that on the show and see what happens. Some more mainstream news. Coca-Cola is selling an NFT.
Sold an NFT.
Sold an NFT. Sorry.
Sold.
$500,000.
$500,000. Interesting to see from Coca-Cola coming into the NFT space. Did a pretty cool NFT. There was a loot box, 4 items within the loot box. One of them, a 3D jacket that you could wear in virtual worlds. That was pretty cool. And this just goes to go back to iconic brands, iconic status, cultural moments, cultural icons are being turned into NFTs for people to be able to collect and hold and value and become part of that cultural collection, movement, icon. So very cool to see a company like Coca-Cola, one of the biggest companies in the world, entering the space and just giving more credibility to this art form and this medium. And tremendous to see a drop of that nature on OpenSea selling for $500,000. And that was not even the big news of the day. That was just another thing happening in NFT world.
Yep. And to segue into what we're going to talk about today, question from the audience. CryptoPunks are a new thing to me. I cannot comprehend why they are valued so high. Well, that's what we're going to talk about. What the heck is a CryptoPunk?
Well, let's do that. Let's go deep into these things called CryptoPunks, their history, where you can find them, how to buy them, how we think about them, and what's the potential of them in the years to come. Is this a flash in the pan, or is this something that is truly iconic and revolutionary and status changing and will become the next collector's item that we'll all be collecting and looking at? Early signs are showing it's going in one direction. So let's unpack. What is this thing called a CryptoPunk?
So CryptoPunks, from what I understand, were the first ever NFT. They were the OG, started in 2017. And the interesting thing is they literally gave these things out for free. Is that correct, Yossi?
There's some dispute on whether they were the first, but what they definitely were was the first notable NFT project that released using this very innovative approach where they have pre-coded the algorithm that would generate these 10,000 unique punks, these unique characters. And it plays a tribute to a number of different things. It plays tribute to the punk movement in the 70s. It plays tribute to the cypherpunk movement who created cryptocurrencies and the whole emergence of Bitcoin and crypto, and then plays tribute to that notion of digital scarcity. Now you have these 10,000 unique NFTs, one of one amongst this community that you can now own and hold, and given in a way to 10,000 wallet addresses. Anyone who had Ethereum, who had an Ethereum wallet, could claim the punk for free. It's a very interesting distribution and approach started by 2 guys at this company called Lava Labs and minted it. And if you had got one of those punks on June 23, 2017, and you had decided to hold that punk or buy Bitcoin or buy Ethereum, since then, you would have made 118,000% return just by holding any punk. It doesn't matter what punk it was. That's the value of punks today. Relative to Bitcoin, you've shot that out. And relative to Ethereum, you've shot that out. And I also did a little calculation and said, well, what if I did a purchase on the anniversary of punks every single year? I did the same thing on June 23, 2018, June 23, 2019, June 23, 2020, and June 23, 2021. Would I be outperforming Bitcoin and Ethereum? And to my surprise, the answer is yes, you would have. So will that trend continue? I don't know. But CryptoPunks showing to be the OG of not only the NFT market, but the entire crypto market. There's no better investment that you could have made with your money. And obviously hindsight is 2020. It's easy to say that now. What will it look like moving forward? We'll unpack a little bit more so you at least understand what they are, and then you can make your own decision.
So why I'm sitting here smacking myself, the craziest thing is that a lot of the people who got these CryptoPunks don't even have access to their wallets. So the conversation is there's less than 10,000 of them that exist, because some of them are sitting in a wallet that they can't actually access. Is that true?
There's a lot of parallels to the Bitcoin world. Bitcoin was distributed early. A lot of miners, people who mined Bitcoin, have lost their keys, don't know how to access to the hard drive that has the Bitcoin sitting on it. And there's somewhere in the range of between 2 to 4 million Bitcoin, they don't know the exact number, that is believed to be inaccessible. So while we talk about 21 million Bitcoin, that number is actually probably closer to somewhere between 17 and 19 million. And the same thing in the CryptoPunk universe, 10,000 punks that are available, but actually available, there's probably a lot less. So they're even more scarce than we think.
Crazy. And we're going back to February of this year when we could actually say that they got the boost, right? Influencers,
that's when they exploded.
I mean, February, like, they exploded a little bit before that. But February is when shit hit the fan and these things started selling for, $40, $50, $60,000 and up. And what we've seen since then is celebrities, influencers using it as their avatar, right? So
Correct.
In the NFT space, we talk about it being art projects and avatar projects. This is an avatar project, even though I look at it more as an art project. And I think the interesting part is once you change your Twitter profile to your CryptoPunk, you're one of us now, right? You're part of the club, and it seems like most of the people are not planning to sell those punks once they make that change, right? They're not day trading them, they're not flipping them. This is who they associate themselves with, and they're here to stay.
Like we see with expensive watches, famous brands, you're social signaling. That is what's happening now in the punk community or in the NFT community. People are social signaling that they're part of this club and that they're dropping large dollars to join this club and that they now can get status. That's what's happening in the punk world. And we're seeing it happen in other NFTs, but specifically the OGs here within CryptoPunks, that's part of the reason that's driving this type of price movement. So should we maybe go into how to navigate if you're thinking about buying a punk? What is it that you do and how do you navigate that? Let's go to Lava Labs website and open that up, and that'll give us a view of what the CryptoPunk universe looks like, and we can dive deeper into the difference between these 10,000 different punks.
Yeah, and what makes them different is the different attributes. Every single punk has different attributes. Through the actual site, you could actually see the different attributes that exist and the rarities. As you could see, there's 9 aliens, only 9 aliens, and 2 of them for sale. I believe one of them is listed for about $359 million, which is bananas. But yeah, there's different attributes. Here's some that are wearing a beanie or a choker or a tiara, or have buck teeth. And when you're going through that process, like I said, when I was purchasing my CryptoPunk, I was looking for what is the most rarest one. And some of the numbers are high, some of the numbers are low. But I also think it's interesting that some of them have different attribute counts. For example, there's only 8 CryptoPunks that have no attributes, which I think is interesting.
And there's one for sale today for the bargain price of 4,000 Ethereum. So if you want to own a no attribute punk, you can buy one for about $10 million.
How much?
About $10 million.
I'm sure that person that got that punk with no attributes, who had no idea what he was doing, was like, out of all the ones, I get the one with no attributes.
So let's think about how we look at them. So CryptoPunks, 10,000, universe of 10,000. They're broken down into attributes, which gives you various levels of rarity within the community of 10,000 punks. There's also a appreciation amongst collectors of which number you own roughly, if it's within the first 1,000, those are the first 1,000 that were ever made. You can think of it kind of like from a fine art world. What is the print? The number of prints that you potentially purchased. So if you're buying CryptoPunk number 1, you own the first one ever minted, and that will have some value. There's debate on whether it carries on after 1,000. There's debate on whether it carries on after 100. Doesn't make any difference if you own Punk number 101 or 500 or 1,000 plus. I think anything over 1,000, the number no longer matters. Anything under 1,000 could be appreciated over time. Within that world, when you go into a specific punk, we're looking at Punk 5967 over here. It's one of 3,840 female punks. So there's male punks, there's female punks, there's aliens, there's apes. There's less females than there are males. And then we can see what are the attributes. This punk has 3 attributes: stringy hair, purple lipstick, clown eyes, blue, and it tells you how many punks have those specific attributes to give you a sense of how unique and how rare this particular punk is. But now you got to remember that rarity isn't the only thing that drives the price of these punks. Like Stanley was saying, people like the way they look. Does this a punk that maybe resonates with who you are? This is something that you hold on to. Is it a representation of your style? And that's maybe why you like this punk more than others, or hoodie punks, or whatever it is, not only based on the rarity of it, although that does play a big portion into why some of these are more expensive than others. If you go down on the site, you can actually see what the current selling price is for this, as well as the full transaction history of this punk. That's what's so unique and lovely about NFTs, is you've got the full provenance of every single item, when it was created, who was the first buyer, if there's been any bids, any offers on it, what date that transaction happened, when it sold, who it transferred to, any additional offers from there. So you can see the entire provenance of every single one of these punks, every single sale, every single offer, every single bid, and then decide from there if this is a punk that you potentially want to acquire. You have full transparency and all information available to you at your fingertips, and are able to interrogate that data to make a call. And we're already starting to see people using data to make decisions and leveraging that and trying to find arbitrages in prices and which one is more, which one they'll think they'll appreciate more over time, and people diving into that. But for the average collector, it's more about what do you think is rare within your budget, looks like you, or has some kind of affiliation, you like the style of it, and that may be the one that you purchase.
One of the best pieces of advice I got in collecting is buy what you love, right? What no matter what happens, price goes down or up, you can relate to it. So I think as people are kind of getting deeper into this, they are buying things that resonate with them. They are buying the punk that, like you said, looks like them, feels like them. That's their style. And, you know, hoodies is something I love, and that's something I resonate with. And I really want a hoodie punk right now. And one other thing that female punks, only about 3,800 in existence, which makes them more rare. That I think is very, very interesting. But also, you know, kind of if you think about where we are today in the NFT space, there's new projects coming out daily, and there's copycats, and they're taking pieces from all different projects. But these guys were really innovative, right? There's a face mask in some of the characteristics which I think is interesting, given the point that we're all living through COVID right now. Aliens, which is another conversation that's happening in this world today. Do aliens exist? Are there UFOs, right? And the aliens are the most expensive punks that have been sold. So how do you actually buy a punk, Yossi?
Well, there's multiple ways. The kind of 2 most prominent ways. One is you go to Lava Labs' website. We've just shown you kind of how to navigate that site. You need to have an Ethereum MetaMask wallet. You need to have a MetaMask wallet that has Ethereum in it in order to be able to purchase off Lava Labs. The other option is to be able to buy off OpenSea. There are some punks that are for sale on OpenSea as well, and we will be doing a short 8-minute video on the world of OpenSea and how to navigate that. But for OpenSea as well, you need to be running a MetaMask wallet with Ethereum in it. So the first thing that you'll need to do is load up a MetaMask wallet, which we'll do an episode on as well. Put in some ETH, go find the punk that you want, and you can either buy one if it's already available and there's an offer on the table. Someone's asking for a price of X, or you can bid on them. There's any punk available, you can put a bid, and if the person accepts your bid, it gets transferred automatically into your wallet, and you are now a punk owner.
Yeah. And one thing that we can't stress enough, as we're hearing daily, people getting hacked. Make sure you buy a hardware wallet. I know Ledger is a reputable company that puts one out, and back up your Ethereum and your CryptoPunks so you won't get hacked. And we'll definitely do a separate show about how to set up your Ledger and how to set up your hardware and make sure you won't get hacked. What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean for us? Like, what does this mean for the future? Where are CryptoPunks in 3 to 5 years?
Well, I'm going to give you my view, and I like to use a comparable. So I'm not an avid watch collector, but I know a number of avid watch collectors. And the most expensive watch that's ever been sold is a Patek Philippe. It's a 30, I think it's sold for about $31 or $32 million. It's a sold at a Christie's auction, $31 million. It's the most expensive watch ever sold. And now Patek Philippe is a brand that's been around for over 200 years. They're a team of 2,000 people. They've got 480 distribution centers. It's a cultural status icon and status symbol that people buy and own as just that, the status symbol and cultural icon. Now, CryptoPunks are starting to challenge that in the digital world. They're already the most expensive punk that's ever sold is $11.8 million at Sotheby's. That would take the number 4 spot for the most expensive watch ever bought. So already something that's been around for just 4 years, already taking on the number 4 spot of the most expensive watch ever sold. And my hypothesis is that as more people get into the world of NFTs, as more people go online, as more people enter these virtual worlds and spend time on Twitter and Instagram and Oculuses and want to be able to show their social status, they're going not to buy a Patek Philippe watch. They're going to buy a CryptoPunk. And my bet in the next 5 years, and I'll put my money where my mouth is, that in the next 5 years, a CryptoPunk will exceed the most expensive Patek Philippe watch ever sold and will hold the number 1 status item and cultural item. It'll be the OG of the metaverse. So I'm a long-term holder. I'm not selling. And I would encourage the rest to do the same. Again, this is not financial advice.
So you said 5 years. I'm going to throw one out better. I think
quicker.
that number is going to be a lot higher in 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised, now don't quote me on this, if that number gets broken before the end of the year.
But will it hold? That's the question. So will it hold past the hype of this year in 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time? That's the question that I think is on people's minds. Whereas you have this legacy and history in the watch world. Collectors have been collecting and trading watches for a long time. This is now new. Will it hold? That's why I've set the timeline in 5 years' time. I still think it's going to hold the number 1 spot.
No, I think that's a valid point. I personally agree with you. I think it's a long-term hold. I think these are one of the things that, if you look at one side of it, you're hearing 10,000, which sounds like a large number.
Well, let me give you context to that number. Patek Philippe releases 10,000 new watches every year. So now you have a team of, they're handmade. So there's something to that. There's 2,000 people that produce those 10,000 watches. And I think the numbers, they said the number's actually about 16,000. So 16,000 watches coming into the market every year. 10,000 is the only number of CryptoPunks there will ever be. There is no new entrance. There is no new supply. It's only ever going to be 10,000.
There's no breeding.
There's no replication. There's 10,000 of them. That's all. And think of how many people know about NFTs today. And as more people enter, who's going to want to own a punk? There's many more people than 10,000 that want to own a punk.
Right. And what I was going to say is, how many wallets are we up to right now? Is it? I know it's over 1 million, but it's not that much over 1 million, right?
Just over 1 million active wallets in the world today that have either traded or held an NFT. Right.
So in that perspective, how many people are in this world? And obviously there's all those people can't afford a 5-6 figure JPEG. But there's going to be more than 1 million people in this space. And
You want
as listen, I played golf this morning with a gentleman, and what's an NFT? Who's an NFT? And we sat down for lunch afterwards, and I told him for 45 minutes about NFTs, and he's sitting there taking notes, right? I mean, this is kind of where we are, and I'm one person that's communicating to meeting people every day and telling them I'm in this space. You're another person that's in the space talking about NFTs. And as more and more people continue to learn about the space, start understanding technology, more and more people are going to dive in. Not every single person is going to be able to afford a CryptoPunk, which I think is also a good thing, right? Because that's going to make it that much more exclusive and continue to rise the price. But there are going to be people that are going to come in and say, $11 million, $15 million. Those numbers are not scary to us. There's a lot of money in this world. And I agree. I believe it's a long-term hold. And when I bought my first one, I was really, really, really I didn't even know what I was really doing. Right. But once it was a gutsy play. But once you're in the space, you're like, oh man, what a win you have here, right?
And so for our listeners who don't have 33 ETH or want to spend 34 ETH to buy a CryptoPunk, there are other ways to own a fractional share of a CryptoPunk. There are platforms like fractional.art or niftex.com where you can own a piece of a punk. You can spend $10 and own a fractional piece of a punk or a vault of punks. Maybe you're bullish on the 20 female punks or an alien punk and you want to own that almost like an ETF. We'll dive into those platforms and how you can acquire a punk or a portion of a punk in one of our next shows. But that is an option for you. That don't have to only buy. You don't only have to think that you have to go and spend $70,000 to become a punk holder. There are other ways for you, and we're seeing more of that happening over time, and I'm very encouraged to see that is starting to allow more people to enter the punk universe and the NFT universe.
Did I hear you say vault? Talking about vaults?
Talking about vaults, we have the Goat Vault. A reminder to all of our subscribers, the only way that you are able to stand a chance in the Goat Vault, we just spoke about CryptoPunks and Bored Apes that minted at zero price or next to zero price, and today is worth millions of dollars. The same thing may be happening in the NFTs that we have put into the vault. We have goats, we have chickens, we have penguins, we have some rare cards. The vault is growing every week. We're adding new NFTs to the vault, and the only way that you can win is by subscribing to the show. Once we hit 5,000 subscribers, we are going to choose the winners and start handing out those NFTs to our subscribers for supporting the show. So subscribe, retweet the show, share the link, tell your friends, tell your cousins, tell everyone. They need to be listening to Goats in the Metaverse to learn about NFTs and stand a chance of winning in the Goat Vault.
Tell your chickens, tell your goats, tell your apes. I mean, look, if you got even a little bit of value today, share the show. Tell everybody about it. We're here weekly, providing value to you. That's all we want to do. We want to bring more and more people into the space, learn with you, share with you, and hopefully grow a community of like-minded individuals that, hopefully we learn from you as we continue to develop the show. Once again, I had a blast. We're here every week. Yossi, this was a good show. It was just you and I today, and I enjoyed it,
man. Yeah,
it was fun. We were vibing. We both got the same hat on.
This is my limited edition 16 of 25. I'm never taking it off.
Never 525. We got. You know what? We're gonna throw a hat into the Goat Vault. I promised last time. Gabby, our producer, make sure we throw some hats into the Goat Vault. Maybe we'll throw a few of those up on social media and give those away. So make sure you follow us on the social. Guys, it was a pleasure. Yossi, pleasure, my man. I can't wait until next week. What's going to happen with the market? Maybe we're going to have a $31 million sale. You never know, man. You never know.
You never know. I'm going to go and buy up some apes, and we'll see you next week.
Ciao.